Okay, second video. Some of you guys were asking about the project advice for the, I think we said GEC 5004 project. I don't know if we meant, because now it's GEC 4002. That's two different projects. This one, I'm going to talk about GEC 4002 because I've just had a look at the project document. GEC 5004 is a little bit bigger. I need to look at that document before I give you some advice because it's been a while. But the general concept then of the Vocational English project, as it's called in the document, is that it is not tied to the English curriculum. It is tied to their vocational subject. So, if we go through the list very quickly, Part A, arrange a meeting between you and the teacher of their main subject. This is sometimes problematic because maybe you don't know that teacher, or you meet that teacher, you ask them what they're doing in the course, and you might not always get a clear answer because that teacher might not know what their assessments are going to be yet. So it's a little bit tough. But if you can get a rough idea of what they're studying with their main teacher and make a project tied to that, it helps. It's a challenge, but it helps. So basically you meet their teacher and you find out what they're doing and what they need to do in that subject. You meet with the students to find out what do they struggle with. Maybe they're really good at speaking because that's what they do a lot, but they're really terrible at writing, maybe specific types of writing. I'm going to give an example for engineering. So if you're an engineer, I would guess you would have to describe the process of making something or the purpose of whatever you made. So finding out something about what the students need help with. So you're addressing a need, you're addressing a problem. Then you set up a project to address that need. In other words, your project will help the students and it will help the main subject. And then create appropriate input means you scaffold the project in a way that it is achievable. Okay. Again, if it's engineering, you would hope that they bring some of the vocabulary from their engineering course because you might not know the vocabulary they need. So you don't have to provide that input. That input's coming from their main teacher. But you might have to provide the input of, okay, what I want you to do with this vocabulary and explain that process. And the last point, E, says ensure the projects are marked fairly in accordance with the project rubric. Self-explanatory. I would actually add something here just to make your life difficult. D says create appropriate input. Yes, you also have to give feedback on what they're doing, of course. So if you don't give any feedback, they all hand in a completely terrible project because they didn't understand what you wanted, then that's a problem with the process. Yeah. So create tasks, scaffold tasks, give feedback, give the student the best chance to complete the project. That being said, I'm going to show you an example project. I will use the portfolio tool. I will think about engineering. I will call it a random name, Mather Salem, GEC 4002 Engineering. In about 2 months, I'll look at this project. I'm like, who's Mather Salem? But anyway, that's just me. So, week 1, week 2, week 3, I've been talking with their teacher, I've been getting to know the students, I've been seeing what they're good at, what they're bad at. I haven't really started anything yet. Then maybe coming later in week 4, I'm going to say to the students, okay, you guys are doing a project. The project is about your engineering subject. In your engineering subject, you're making they always seem to make like a light switch or a toggle clamp. I'm going to say a light switch because, man, do I not know anything about engineering. So I'm going to get them to make a really short introduction. In their introduction, they're going to write something very simple. It's like a report now. They're going to explain what they're making, maybe what's the purpose of what they're making, maybe give some technical details about what they're making. I'm making a light switch. What does it do? Turn on the light is a little bit limited. So I'm going to make a light switch using something circuit board. It will turn on, I'm improvising this because I haven't thought the project through in great detail. But I would have a section for the introduction. You can monitor that, you can give feedback on that, you can check that, you can say it's good, put it in your project. Now I'm also thinking if they're doing a project, they're probably going to need like a list of materials, okay? Again, their engineering teacher will have probably provided them with something similar. You just have to think, how do I want them to use that vocabulary, to use that materials list in my project? So you generally don't want them to copy paste from their engineering to here. You want them to take the language from engineering, do something with it, put it here. That could be a PowerPoint, that could include pictures. Again, it's very hard to say because it depends on your class. Again, I'm thinking also tools that they need, light switch, circuit board, solder, screwdriver, like this. Again, this is something that they have the language for in engineering. They probably have the language for in Arabic. They might not be able to use that language that well in English. So that's our focus here. That's our purpose here. I guarantee with their engineering teacher as well, they have like a schedule. Design, make, test, fix, something like this, and certain things they have to do by a certain date. So again, not copy-pasting that schedule, but using what they've got in their other subject this way. And again, this could be written or spoken, this could be a PowerPoint, this could be a Word document, it could be done in any form. After the time frame, I'm guessing they might actually have to explain the process of what they do. First we did this, then we do this, then we do this. Again, that is useful language for an engineer, presenting how you do something, essentially teaching how you do something. And again, that could be the written process. And then they could either do like a spoken process or a demonstration of their product. You could see them with their phone recording and speaking. This is the light switch I made. This bit was easy, this bit was difficult. First, when I pressed this switch, nothing happened. Second, when I pressed this switch, I electrocuted myself. Third, when I press this switch, alhamdulillah, my light switch worked. So there's a little speaking element in there. And then when it's complete, they have a project, a fairly substantial project. Most of the information has been provided by another teacher. You have just reframed that information. You've used that information to make something new, and you've guided the student through the process. And hopefully you've had like checkpoints. So this was maybe week 4, this was maybe week 5, this was maybe week 6, maybe week 7, maybe you took a week off, week 9, okay, now make the video. And by the end of the project, all these little tasks will have accumulated into a big task. This style of project in the portfolio could be adapted to other stuff. If it's tourism, I've seen people do an introduction for tourism. I've seen them brainstorm tourist activities. They then made a survey about tourism and sent it to like 100 people. And then they wrote a couple of paragraphs about their survey results. And maybe they made a final video choosing the best destination. Okay. I think the key to making a successful project in GEC 4002 is small, achievable tasks that accumulate to one piece of work. Because you only have like 5 hours a week. Essentially, you don't want to be spending all that time on the project, but you could spend 1 or 2 classes a week on it. Class 1, maybe to set the task on a Sunday. Class 2, maybe on a Thursday, schedule permitting. You know, check that task, make sure it's okay. Maybe in the middle of the week, you'll push them a little bit on it. And then, again, as I say, at the end, you have a cumulative project. If you want one of these for GEC 5004 semester 4, that's the writing and speaking big project, send me an email. I have to think about that topic first.